friends, I'm Kyla and welcome back to the Infinite Library, and today we're going to be doing my October TBR, which is going to be filled with quite a lot of seasonal creepy books, but also some other things as well. So let's get right to it. So of course I'll still be doing my Goodreads challenge, however a lot of these are very seasonal because I did indeed choose to go with horror as being one of the main genres for this month, for obvious reasons. And I'm going to be pairing that against debut novel for that. So I'll be reading 6 books for those genres. I may also start working on the adult fantasy, but I have a feeling I'm going to have a very busy month because I got a lot of life stuff going on. So I'm not going to push myself to also do the adult fantasy category this month as well, but I may start it. I don't believe I have any of the books on me to show you guys, but I will say that I will at the very least be reading Holly by Stephen King because that was the winner of the horror category last year, and I'll be reading Inkblood Sister Scribe, which is an adult fantasy because that was not the winner of the debut category because that was Wayward, but that also won the historical category, so I'm actually just going to do the runner-up for that one, which is Inkblood Sister Scribe. So obviously with those, I'm also going to be reading 2 other horror books. And for the debut, I will say that of the other 2 books I'll be reading, one is a horror and one is magical realism. And if I do end up getting around to the adult fantasy category, I will most likely be reading Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. I read Ninth House a couple of months ago, so I can actually read the winner of the fantasy category. So that is the first 6 or so books that I'll be reading. I have my book club book, and that is going to be horror as well because we have a tradition that in October we will always read some kind of horror book. We don't tend to read horror very much normally because it's not really everyone's cup of tea. It's my cup of tea. Any day of the week it's my cup of tea, but it's not really everyone's cup of tea in the book club. So we tend to just stick mostly with fantasy and with sci-fi. But October is my time, so I get to pick horrors. So I've been sneaky and I have picked 3 horror books that 2 of them at least are already on my TBR for this month. So the first one for that is Monstrillo by Gerardo Samano Cordova. This is a horror book, queer horror book actually, because all these books will be queer horror. And it is about a mother whose son dies and then she kind of takes a piece of his lung and it grows into this creature called Monstrillo. So that is the first option that I may be reading. The second option, I've actually just put in a book that I've already read before that I might just skim read it again or something, but it's one that I think people will really enjoy, and that is Bury Your Gaze by Chuck Tingle. This is kind of like a sci-fi horror basically. It has a lot to say about AI and a lot to say about LGBT characters within Hollywood. And it was a really good read. I enjoy it. I highly recommend it. And the final book that will be an option is Someone You Can Build a Nest In by John Wiswell. This is kind of more of a cozy horror fantasy romance, I believe. So this will probably be the option for if people want something a little bit more relaxed. I don't know a whole lot about it other than that I believe it's sapphic and it is about a monster and a woman that fall in love. It might be historical. I don't really know a whole lot about it, but it sounds really good. So that is the third option, and I will put here exactly what did get picked, so you'll know what I will be reading. So on to the other books that I'll be reading. I'm actually reading an awful lot by one author because they are actually coming to Manchester for a literature event. Basically throughout the month of October, it is actually Manchester Literature Festival, and there's quite a few authors that are going to be there that I'm a couple of them I'm going to go see. So Arch Kwong is one of them, Matt Haig is another, and then the other authors is one that I've read from before and quite liked, and another author I've not actually read from before. So the one I've not read from before is Daisy Johnson. Both of these writers are folk horror writers. So I picked up Fen from the library just to try her out. I think, I don't know if her stuff is going to be my kind of thing, but I thought I'd pick this one up at the very least and just see what it is about. This one looks like it might have a lot to do with sex, I think. But basically it's this place called the Fen, and it's a place where animals and people commingle and fuse where curious metamorphoses take place, where myth and dark magic still linger. So here a teenager may starve herself into the shape of an eel, a house might fall in love with a girl, a woman might give birth to her. Well, what? So I don't know if this is short stories or if it kind of looks like it's like a mix between short story, maybe with an overarching theme. So I'm intrigued by this one. I don't know if it's going to be for me, but I'm definitely going to give it a chance. The other author I'm going to be reading, however, one of these is going to be a reread, and that is Andrew Michael Hurley. I read Starvaker a while ago, and I quite liked it. They've actually made a movie of this recently, although I haven't heard good reviews for it, but it does have Matt Smith, I believe, in it as one of the main characters. And yes, it's a folk horror about this couple whose son dies, and they live at this place called Starvaker, which is in the moors. And yeah, there's this weird thing with like this rabbit skeleton that starts to come back to life. I think I remember really liking it. I did check my reviews, and apparently I only gave this a 3-star, but I feel like it was, I remember a lot about it, so I feel like it was quite a solid 3-star. So this is quite short. I'm going to give this a reread just to refresh my mind on it, really. And then I've got 2 other books by Andrew Michael Hurley that I picked up over the years, basically, that I'm going to try and get to as well, is the plan. So I've had The Loney for a little while now. This one is, I believe, his first book. This one is about 2 brothers, and they visit the sacred shrine on the coastline every single year, known as the Loney, looking for a cure. One of these brothers is mute, the other is his protector. This sounds very kind of like apocalyptic, honestly, or dystopian. And yeah, basically the boys are kind of like left alone there, and then this old house kind of appears, and then we kind of go forward many years later on, and we're following the one who I believe is mute, called Hanny, who is no longer in need of his brother's care, but then a child's body is found, and the Loney always gives up its secrets in the end. So yeah, this one sounds very eerie. And the final one I actually just picked up just the other week whilst I was in Hay on Wye. I was recommended this by my cousin. I think this is his second novel, and it is called Devil's Day. I don't actually know what it's about. After the blizzard of a century ago, it was weeks before anyone got in or out. By that time, what had happened there, what the devil had done, was already fable. Devil's Day is a day for children now, of course. A tradition is easy to mock from the outside, but it's important to remember why we do what we do. It's important to know what our grandfathers have passed down to us, because it's hard to understand if you're not from the valley how this place is in your blood. That's why I came back with Cat, and not just because the gaffer was dead, though that year we may have let the devil in after all. Eerie kind of people-centric folk horror is kind of what he writes, and I assume that's kind of what Daisy Johnson also writes. So yeah, I'm going to be giving these a shot, and I'll hopefully find some new favourites from this. So otherwise, I'm mostly just going to be trying to read as many books for Yalk as I can. I've took a bunch out from the library, and yeah, I'm not really setting myself a hard TBR for this month because it's just going to be a bit of a crazy month. So it really is just a case of I'm just going to see what I get to, and I might not get to all of these. But I have a selection of books of various Yalk authors that I'd like to try and get to. So I have Like a Charm by Elle Nicole. She writes books that are often like giving really good representation of people on the spectrum. And this one's actually set in Edinburgh. And it is a girl who can see magical creatures called Ramya Knox. And she is pulled into her family's world of secrets and spells. And yeah, it sounds really interesting. It is kind of like a middle grade book, but I've heard really good things about this author, so I really want to give her a try. I have 16 Souls by Rosie Talbot. This is very in keeping with the Halloween vibes of the season. It's about a 16-year-old who is a seer, basically. It's set in York, which is very fun. And he ends up teaming up with this new seer in town, and yeah, it's good. It's queer, I think, as well, so that's nice. And I've also got The Loneliest Girl in the Universe by Lauren James. Don't know a whole lot about this. It's a sci-fi, I believe, however. It's about a girl called Romy. She is the only surviving crew member on a spaceship bound for a new planet. And then she ends up running into a second spaceship, I believe, with a single passenger on board, a boy called Jay. So it's kind of about their communication over the distances. And yeah, it sounds like it'll be pretty good. I'm just kind of intrigued by it, really, so I thought I'd check this one out. A couple of other books I kind of want to check out. I've ordered a couple from the library, but I don't know exactly what I'm going to get to be honest. I'd like to try some Lex Croucher. possibly this book. Girl Goddess Queen is another one that I'm kind of intrigued by, but it's not one that I'm going to risk spending money on, so because I don't know if I'm going to like it or not, so I've ordered that one from the library as well. And here's just a selection of other ones, really, that I'm kind of interested in, might try and check out, whether this month or whether I'm doing it in November right before the convention. I'm not sure yet, but yeah, I'm just going to try and just try some of these out, basically. I forgot to say, I'm going to try and carry on with it as well. I'm a decent way through. I really want to pick this up again. It's Halloween month, so I don't expect to finish it, but I'm going to try and chunk a little bit more of this one as well. So that is it for all of the books that I'm going to be trying to reading. I am, however, gonna pick something from the TBR jar because I did neglect it last month. Whether or not I'll get to this month is an entirely different matter, but I want to at least attempt something from here as well. So, giving it a good shake up, and let's see what we get. Trying to pick one. Yeah, right from the bottom. Okay, I've got one. Oh, okay. I've got quite a short one, thankfully. It's Piranesi by, I think her name is Suzanne Collins. Hang on, I have this somewhere. Here we go. Yeah, this is quite short. Susanna Clarke, there we go. Ironically, she's actually one of the authors that is going to be coming to Manchester Literature Festival. So this could be convenient if I get to this. This is like a Greek mythology kind of thing. She also wrote Doctor Strange and Mr. Norrell. Is in this jar as well. But yeah, this is about someone called Piranesi. He lives in this labyrinthine house, making a record of everything, and then 2 days a week he sees his friend, the Other. But yeah, he's mostly alone basically, but then messages start to appear, scratched out in chalk on the pavement. There is someone new to the house, but who are they and what do they want? A lost text must be found, secrets must be uncovered. The world that Piranesi thought he knew is becoming strange and dangerous. Also, really nice insert covers. Yeah, basically I bought this and then was fully intending to read it, and it just kind of got left behind somewhere on my TBR. So yeah, it's reasonably short. It's almost a novella. It's like 240 pages. I think I can smash this out this month as well. TBR jar, you did not screw me over this month. So a little bit of an addendum to my TBR for the month. It's gotten a little bit more squiffy because I've had a bunch of library books that I've like requested, whether for Yelp or it's just books that I'm kind of interested in, because I keep seeing them in Waterstones and just something about them has really appealed to me, but I don't know if I'm going to like it or not, so I just ordered them from the library to check first, and a bunch of those have arrived. So I have a bunch of other books that I'm going to try and fit into October and November. Obviously for the Yelp ones, those are the priorities, but I also have Gwen and Art Are Not in Love by Lex Croucher. Lex Croucher's going to be at Yalc, and this is the one that I'm the most interested in, I think, of her books. So yeah, this is one of them. Then we have another Yalc author. This is Welcome to Dawley Hall by Alison Greaves. This is an LGBT mystery horror kind of thing, which I just thought was really interesting, but it's like an indie publisher, so I cannot find this from like a library or from most bookshops, to be honest. So I ended up ordering this secondhand. Couple more, yeah, I've got 3 more Yalc ones here. Same thing for Mina and the Undead. This is not in any libraries anywhere, and I think this is one I'm genuinely gonna love because it just sounds like it's very like Buffy inspired. So yeah, I have this one to read as well. This one I tried to get an ARC of and I like couldn't get an ARC, and then like literally I went into the library and it was there on the shelves, and it's Young Gothic by M.A. Bennett. This one just sounds like it's going to be really fun. I don't really know a lot about it, but I'm intrigued by it. It's thicker than I thought it was going to be, but I want to at least give it a try. And then finally we have Shanghai Immortal by A. White Shao, which is what I've been wanting to read for a while. And yeah, I'm just really intrigued by it basically. It's about a half vampire, half fox spirit. And then the other 2 books I've just been really interested in because the covers, I'm just obsessed with the covers. So we have The Memory of Animals by Claire Fuller. I do not know what it's about. It's about a young woman called Neffy who is running away from grief and guilt. She volunteers in a controlled vaccine trial. And then things get weird, I think. Yeah, I think things get kind of weird, basically, from there. And then also another one that I'm obsessed with, like, people's faces being weird on a cover, I guess, because The Silence Factory by Bridget Collins. Looks like this in the back. Very cool. Is the other one that I picked up from the library. And this is historical mystery, I believe. Possibly gothic. I really thought this was LGBT when I first read the synopsis, but I don't think it actually is. I think it was just giving me the vibes. But it is about a man called Henry who meets this mysterious gentleman who can sell him silence, and he is summoned to this man's factory to try to cure his young daughter's deafness. Really not sure what this is about, but it sounds like it's going to be, yeah, creepy and gothic. Okay, I mean, it could be gay, I don't know. It says he allows himself to fall under the spell of Sir Edward and his silk. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm just really intrigued by this, basically. So I want to see what it's about. Those are the extra books that I probably will not get to them all in October. I'll try and squeeze in what I can. It'll probably be dictated by when they're needed back in the library, most likely. But yeah, October, November, those are some extra books I'm going to try and squeeze in. So, that is it then. For the TBR, it's a little bit slapdash. I have no idea if I'm going to get to all of these. I'll obviously get to my Goodreads books, and it's Halloween season, so I'm going to try and read as much horror as possible. I'd have loved to have done Becca's Spookopolis again, but like it's just not realistic for me this month because I've got so much stuff going on. So yeah, I'm just gonna have a chilled month, see what I get to, and then November, hopefully it will be business as usual. So that is it for this video. Feel free to comment down below if you're really interested in some of the books that I'm reading. If they're ones that you're like, please read it or please don't read it, maybe I'll not get around to that one, if you know what I mean. But as always, stay safe, stay cozy, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!